I want to talk to you here a little bit about what we really know. And does he represent you? Does he represent anyone you know? I mean, look, I expect that we're going to disagree with people from time to time. We're going to disagree on policies, and we're going to have, as George Washington said, battles on the battlefield of ideas. We're going to duke it out. But there's something wrong. And it's time that we sit with our friends and have a reasonable conversation and ask them a few questions. I want you to ask your friends this. Are you, or can you name a friend or a relative that's like this man? Can you name anyone with, let's say, 3, 4, 5 of what I'm going to show you, 5 of them or 3 of them that you go, yeah, I know that guy. See how many you can do. Ronald Reagan said if we can get 7 out of 10, we're good. We don't have to agree on everything. How many out of this list of about 20 questions? First, are you or do you know anyone with the kind of liberation theology, Christian understanding of Jesus Christ of Jeremiah Wright? Do you know anybody that would have gone to that church? Do you know anybody who believes, who's a Christian, who believes in collective salvation?
And recognizing that my fate remained tied up with their fates, that my individual salvation is not going to come about without a collective salvation for the country.
This is not a Christian view. Do you know anybody who believes that they cannot go to heaven unless everybody is saved in the country? How about this? Do you know anyone who is raised and or mentored by communists? And then don't deny that communist past. Do you have friends or acquaintances with Marxist, communist, or domestic terror ties? Do you have friends that believe that terrorism doesn't really exist and that by definition jihad is a holy struggle?
Our enemy is not terrorism because terrorism is but a tactic. Our enemy is not terror because terror is a state of mind. And as Americans, we refuse to live in fear. Nor do we describe our enemy as jihadists or Islamists because jihad is a holy struggle, a legitimate tenet of Islam, meaning to purify oneself or one's community.
How many people do you know believe that? This man surrounds himself with people like this. How about somebody who believes, really truly believes, that the Muslim Brotherhood is largely secular and a good force?
The term Muslim Brotherhood is an umbrella term for a variety of movements. In the case of Egypt, a very heterogeneous group, largely secular, which has eschewed violence and has decried al-Qaeda as a perversion of Islam.
Do you know anybody that thinks that NASA's foremost goal should be Muslim outreach to help them feel good?
When I became the NASA administrator, or before I became the NASA administrator, he charged me with 3 things. One was he wanted me to help re-inspire children to want to get into science and math. He wanted me to expand our international relationships. And third, and perhaps foremost, he wanted me to find a way to reach out to the Muslim world and engage much more with dominantly Muslim nations to help them feel good about their historic contribution to science and engineering.
Do you know anybody that believes now that Occupy Wall Street features the best people in our country?
Would love to hear some of these Republicans who are attacking these struggling people and young people and calling them divisive say something about this kind of despicable attack on the best people in our country right now. The most selfless are down there on Wall Street.
Is it even conceivable that you know or associate with somebody like this, or somebody who thinks that killing Osama bin Laden was an actual tough decision to make?
Intelligence reports locating Osama bin Laden were promising, but inconclusive, and there was internal debate as to what the president should do.
The entire national security apparatus was in that room. And the president turns to every principal in the room. What do you recommend I do? And they say, it's a close call, Mr. President. As he walked out the room, it dawned on me, he's all alone. This is his decision.
He took the harder and the more honorable path.
The heart. At the same time, he had a hard time making this decision. Do you know anybody who would make that decision and then insist that you have a blame someone else memo ready just in case it went poorly? Who in your circle believes that Israel is the biggest obstacle to peace and prosperity in the world? And it's not just Israel, it's Israel and the United States. Do you know anyone who believes the United States Constitution needs to be a photo negative for it to be workable for today?
Generally, the Constitution is a charter of negative liberties, says what the states can't do to you, says what the federal government can't do to you, but it doesn't say what the federal government or the state government must do on your behalf.
Would you or anyone you know take a gift given to us by England after 9/11, and then when you get into office, take that bust and say, you got to take this back to you? And when the Prime Minister said, no, that was a gift, you can put it in a museum, you would have that boxed up and shipped back over to England, our closest ally. Do you know anybody that would do that? Do you know anyone who has a wife or a husband that was never really proud of their country until you were nominated or until something good happened in your life?
And let me tell you something. For the first time in my adult lifetime, I'm really proud of my country.
Wow. Do you know anyone who would actively defend and fight for the right to allow a baby to die in a closet without any treatment if that baby was born after a failed abortion? Anyone? Barack Obama did it. How many people do you know would give a shout out to somebody, hey, good to see you, right before announcing that 13 American soldiers were murdered by an Islamic extremist on our own soil?
I hear that Dr. Joe Medicine Crow was around, and so I want to give a shout out to that Congressional Medal of Honor winner. Good to see you.
Do you know anybody who is a really big Israeli supporter? Somebody who says they are our best friend and we've got to be there every step of the way, who then has the prime minister of that country fly over halfway across the world, has dinner scheduled, you meet with the prime minister, and then you're like, you know what, I can't make dinner tonight. And then you go and have dinner with your friends while you make the prime minister wait, and then humiliates him. And then this great supporter of Israel would go and visit all of the Muslim countries all around Israel, but can't find any time in his schedule to go to Israel. Do you know anybody who says they're the biggest supporter of Israel, die hard, they're our best friends, a loyal supporter, but they believe they should go back to their indefensible 1967 borders as a starting point for negotiations?
The United States believes that negotiations should result in two states with permanent Palestinian borders with Israel, Jordan, and Egypt, and permanent Israeli borders with Palestine. We believe the borders of Israel and Palestine should be based on the 1967 lines.
My guess is you don't know anybody like this. You don't know anybody who shares these beliefs, let alone 3 of these beliefs, or 5. Yet all of these are firmly held by Barack Obama and all those that he puts around. And we just scratching the surface. He's in charge of our future. Is he a good representation of what you believe?